All right, today we're looking at simplifying square roots some more, but we're introducing a concept called the imaginary number. So, an imaginary number is just a real number multiplied by the imaginary unit I. And what I is equal to is the square root of negative 1. So, if we have a negative under the square root, that means there's no real solutions, but there can be imaginary solutions involving I, and that's what we're going to work on today. So we've got some directions on how to simplify square roots with a negative under the square root down here. So our first step is to write the square root as square root of negative 1 times whatever positive number that would make this work. So in our first one, we have square root of negative 36. We can write that as square root of negative 1 times positive 36. So we're basically kind of taking that square root of negative 1 out. And then we can rewrite the square root of negative 1 as I. So this negative 1, square root of negative 1 just becomes I. And we have square root of 36 times I. I want to make sure that I is not under the square root. If you want, you can put it out in front for now too. Next step is to find the biggest perfect square that's a factor of the number under the square root. So this goes back to what we did yesterday, simplifying square roots. 36, well, 36 is a perfect square. Right, so for that one, we can take the square root of 36, that's just 6. So it's a simple one to simplify. We can kind of skip down to our final answer here. Square root of 36 is just 6, and then we still have our I. So our answer for this one is 6I. Now let's look at our other example here. Square root of negative 32. So remember, first step, pull out that square root of negative 1 times square root of 32. The square root of negative 1, that's just going to become I. So we have square root of 32 times I. Now we want to break down that 32. 32 is not a perfect square. It's not one of these numbers on our list. We want to find the biggest number on this list that goes into 32. So, well, 25 is less than 32, but doesn't go in there nicely. 16 goes into 32 twice. So this is going to be our number that we're going to use to break this up. Square root of 32 we can rewrite as square root of 16 times the square root of 2, and then we still have our I there. So square root of 16, we've got, simplify that, we get 4, and square root of 2 we can't simplify, so we just end up with 4 times the square root of 2 times I.